Hi guys, welcome to my first ever tutorial. This is a beginner friendly video to make the sheer beader dress that I posted on my TikTok account. This is a beginner friendly video, so if I'm explaining something that might seem obvious to you, it might not be obvious to someone else, so just, you know, be patient. So first, these are the skills you need to complete this project. I'm not going to go over every little detail. There's probably thousands of tutorials online, so, you know, use your resources. So for this project, I'll be using a 3.0mm crochet hook. I think smaller hooks are the best choice for this project. For material, I'll be using Messiah. I think that's how you say it. Wait.
Mercerized.
Oh, Mercerized.
Mercerized.
Mercerized. So for this project, I'll be using 100% Mercerized yarn. I got this from Amazon. So when I buy more than one skein of yarn, I always look at the lot or batch dye number, and that is just basically when they're dyeing the yarn, they dye it so it's the exact same color. Sometimes you get variations, but you can see these are the exact same color. So it just ensures consistency with the color. So always check. And I got these from Amazon. I would say that cotton is the best choice because it gives that drapey, flowy look, and that's literally the most important things. Sometimes people are like, crochet is so ugly, and then they're not using the right material for the right project, so obviously it's not going to turn out the way that you think it will. Also, I just want to show you the difference. So Mercerized, or whatever it's called, yarn, can you see it has like a shine to it? Like, it's really gorgeous. And then this is like normal cotton yarn. Can you see the difference? Like, gorgeous. This is so gorgeous. Okay, for the beads, I got them off of Shein. They were like £30 for like, I can't remember how many packs I bought, but I'll insert the number somewhere here. But look how gorgeous, so shiny. I'm also going to leave a link for all like the exact material I used, just so you know. But I feel like for the beads, it's best to get a lighter color because it really pops when like everything is together. Like, you don't want the beads to be darker, and it's best to get like the see-through beads, not like the ones that are like painted. Or I don't know if they're actually painted, but you know, like, you also need a measurer, and you also need one of those beaders. I don't know where mine is, but I'm gonna insert a picture when I find it. But you know, just so you can put the beads on the yarn. Also need elastic, so we're going to be using elastic on the topper part of the dress and the waist part of the dress. I also got this from Shein. It was like £1 and it lasted me like almost a year, and I crochet a lot, guys, so I know this dress might look a little bit difficult, but it's really easy, guys. Just follow my instructions. I would say watch this video first and then watch it again making the dress, so you just get an idea of it. But after the first couple of rows, I think you guys will get like the hang of it because it's just the same skill over and over and over again. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to take my measurements now. Okay, we're going to take some measurements. The first measurement is the hips. So there's going to be no increases or decreases in this pattern. So we measure our hips and then we use elastic for our waist. So my hips are 35. And then we're going to measure what I like to say boob to boob. So depending on how much coverage you want, you just place it here and here. I got 19 inches. For my arms, I just measure the upper part of my arm and then the length I want the sleeves. So my upper arm is 12 inches. And the length I'm going to do is 21 inches. Okay, so those are my measurements. As I said before, there's no increasing or decreasing. It makes it really hard because the patterns follow a certain like pattern. So it's in like every 4 stitches we add a bead, for example. So if we increase or decrease, it's gonna mess it up and it's gonna look weird. So we're just gonna use elastic in the parts that we want to slim down. Oh, wait. I forgot I didn't say how long the dress was. Let me get... So the dress is 30 inches, and let me just show you what the elastic looks like. So you can see how stretchy it is. I'm 5'2" and about a size 10 in the UK, so if that helps you work out your measurements, then good. But yeah, let's get into it. I don't know if I said it, but you also need scissors as well. I'm going to get my beader. I got these from Shein as well. They're really thin. Don't know if you can see it. You see it opens up like that. You put it through like this. Like that. You might be able to hear my family in the background as well, but there's nothing I can do about that. So you get your beads. I would say 3 packs of beads for 1 skein. You might have a little bit of beads left over, but you can just transfer that to the next skein. And then you just put the beads on the beader like so and pull it through. This might take a while, but you know, just keep it up. You can do it. So we're gonna chain this portion now. So for every 4th row, we're gonna add a bead. Let me show you what I mean. You can see that every 4th stitch has a bead on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna chain 75 chains to cover this portion of my body. So depending on how much coverage you want, you might want to chain a little bit more, you might want to chain a little bit less, but for me, I do 75 plus 3. Also, I'm going to use a 3.5mm crochet hook just for the chaining of the top half of the dress, just because I think it looks better. So first thing I'm going to do is make a slip knot like this. Then I'm going to chain 75 plus 3. So a multiple of 3 plus 3. So I've chained 75. This gives me the coverage that I want. Also, when you're doing your chain, make sure you don't do it too tight because it looks a bit weird. Okay, I'm switching to voiceover because it's easier to explain. So I have my chain of 75 and now I'm chaining 3. In my 4th chain from the hook, I'm going to place my first treble. The chain 3 also counts as a stitch. In every 4th stitch, I'm going to add a bead. I do this stitch as normal to begin with, yarning over twice, then pulling through 2 loops. I then bring the beads closer to the loops I have on my hook and pull through 2 again. Finally, I pull through the last 2 loops. Yes, it's really that simple. I'll show you again. I yarn over twice and pull through 2 loops. I place the beads closer to the 3 loops on my hook and then pull through 2. I then pull through the last 2 on my hook. You follow this pattern to the end of the row. When you get to the end, you chain 4 and flip your work. You place your first treble in the first stitch. This row has no beads. Okay, this is the part I kind of messed up. I didn't do enough rows to begin with, that's why there's only 9 rows here, but there's supposed to be 13 rows. Okay, we're moving on to the lower part of the dress now. The top panel and whatever you chain for the hips has to be the same number you measured for your hips in the beginning, and also a multiple of 3. The panel is 21 inches. 21 plus 14 is 35 inches altogether. So you round to the nearest multiple of 3 to not mess up the bead formation. My hips are 35 inches. I chained 52 for my hips, which was 14 inches. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to use elastic at the end, and we can also increase or decrease if the bead formation gets messed up. After you've chained 52 chains, you slip stitch back into the front panel. You then chain 4 and turn your work. You then begin to place your trebles back into the chain. If your panel ended on beads, this row shouldn't have beads. Vice versa, if your panel ended with no beads, then this row should have beads. Also make sure your chain isn't wonky. At the end of the row, you place your last treble into the chain 4 space. You slip stitch into the first treble, you chain 4 and flip your work. Do you see how I put the first treble of the row into the first gap? Ignore that. Put your first treble into the second space. I'll show you again later on if you don't understand. If you do put a stitch in that space, you cause an increase. You continue the pattern as normal. Every 4th stitch has a bead. You finish the row as usual. If you have any extra stitches or not enough stitches, don't be alarmed. You can increase or decrease to keep the bead formation crisp. If you don't know how to do that, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that will show you how. You chain 4 and flip your work. You carry on the formation, 1 row without beads, 1 row with beads. It's really that simple. You keep going until you're happy with the length. Okay, remember I said I'll show you again if you were confused? Do you see how I skipped the first treble? Do that for each row. It adds a random increase which will throw off your bead formation if you put it into the one closest to the chain free space. I'm going to show you how to add another skein when you run out. You tie the new skein to the old one, and then the old one to the new one. You pull gently until they're both as tight as you can make them, and then you cut off the excess. Then you crochet as normal. Try to do this on a non-beading row. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to attach the elastic, tie a couple of knots to make sure it doesn't come undone. You slip stitch into each gap, missing 2 to 3 stitches. If you want it tighter, do 4 to 5 stitches. After you're done, you tie a couple more knots to make sure it doesn't come undone, then cut. After that, we are going to do single crochet stitches over the top to hide the elastic. I don't think it's very noticeable, but if you feel like it might bother you, maybe get a different color elastic, maybe blue, purple, whatever color you're thinking of doing. Okay, so now we're going to start the arm section. I'm not going to do the whole sleeve because this version doesn't have sleeves, but I'm going to explain to you how I did it. So first I chain a chain of 17 inches. I slip stitch back into it to make a circle. And then I simply follow the pattern. The first row has beads, the second row doesn't, and every fourth stitch I put a bead. This section is kind of like the dress section. Keep going around until the sleeves are the length you want them. I did 33 rows. And then you slip stitch the sleeves into both sides of the dress. The first row of the dress and the first row of the sleeves have to be the same. For example, both my dress and sleeves first row are beads. This is so all rows match. After the sleeves are connected, you add 2 more rows on top. Start from the end of the first sleeve all the way to the second sleeve. Where you see my finger was the original starting point of my dress. I then added 2 more rows on top for coverage. You can add more or less if you want. I then added elastic to help hold up the dress the way we did for the waist. I skipped 2 to 3 stitches, then covered it with a single crochet stitch. Don't forget to add the elastic in the sleeves as well. I also chained 25 inches to help hold up the dress, and then for the blue version I chained 65 inches. So the dress is finished. I just added some elastic to help hold up the dress because it's really heavy, and I also chained these chains just to keep everything together. I just did like a crisscross at the back to like snatch it up even more. But as you can tell, the dress is finished. She is literally gorgeous. So I added some rows to the front panel because it wasn't giving low-waisted, so it might look shorter in some clips, but yeah. So there's 2 options for the dress. There's this version and the purple version with the sleeves. So obviously you would need more material for the one with sleeves because you have sleeves. But other than that, everything is basically the same.